Hey, good evening and welcome, fellow babies. It's Ukraine Update here on the Shills. And I mean, what are we going to start with other than Eurovision? Vladimir Putin has absolutely positively shown himself to be the biggest pile of steaming human excrement the world has ever seen by launching that attack as they go on stage. It's absolute bullshit. All of us know you are the worst human being in the world. And on that note, we're going to cue the music and kick it over to Starsky for the headlines.
Hello everyone, Operator Starsky here. We have several updates from Ukraine, and I believe that it's a good opportunity to start with the Victory Day, the parade that Russians had the other day in Moscow, which was the only parade that they had in Russia that day. Um, the Russian trolls were bragging so much about this parade. They were saying that despite all the attacks, all those horrible drone strikes on Kremlin, they still managed to have this parade. We were so much impressed by all those tanks we saw on the Red Square, and so. Besides that, we had several missile strikes. Actually, it was pretty intense in Ukraine these days because yesterday, the day before yesterday, I believe we had like 4 missile and drone strikes this week, at least in my area. So several facilities in Khmelnytsky, it's West Ukraine, were hit. Also yesterday, a huge storage of the humanitarian help was destroyed by Russian missiles in Ternopil. The media from Ukraine have posted a lot of pictures of that. It was a huge area with thousands and thousands of boxes and containers of humanitarian help provided by different civilian organizations, religious organizations like Christian missions in Ukraine, and other organizations. And unfortunately, they were destroyed. Also, we have some success in the area of Bakhmut. We know that some angry Ukrainian soldiers who arrived to Bakhmut performed several successful counter-offensive operations, and as of today, we know that almost 18 square kilometers were liberated by the armed forces of Ukraine in the area of Bakhmut, which is approximately 18 times more than Russians were managed to capture, I think, in 4 months. And one thing that I wanted to mention is that the security service of Ukraine managed to eliminate another bot farm in Ukraine that was used by Russians. So they seized several thousand SIM cards that were used by Russian spies, basically, to destabilize the political situation in Ukraine. They were spreading a lot of fakes in the social media, and those were only found in Ukraine. I believe it's approximately 5th or 6th bot farm that was raided and eliminated by the security service of Ukraine. How many bot farms they have in Russia, we can only guess, but I think it's a lot. Another thing, what makes me, let's say, concerned is several weeks ago I made a video about the hybrid warfare, and I was mentioning the NATO countries. And one of the things was that one of the signs of the hybrid warfare in the NATO country would be mass protest actions and calls to cancel NATO membership, cancel the EU membership, and things like that. And last week we saw such protests held in Germany, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia. We also know that several, let's say, conservative movements in the US also call to leave NATO. And Viktor Orban in Hungary also said that the European Union makes no sense, basically, doesn't do its duties. Which is, again, I'm concerned about it because we see that Russia tries to develop this hybrid warfare in other European countries, and it's a very, very bad sign. But we also have some good news from the area of Bakhmut, because 3 Russian colonels became better in the past 24 hours due to successful strikes performed by the armed forces of Ukraine. We know that Russians confirmed elimination of 2 Russian colonels. One of them was deputy commander of the second armed corps of the Russian troops, and another one was the commander of the 4th Motorized Brigade. So those deaths are confirmed, and another one, I believe, to be confirmed soon. So those were the news on my side. One thing I would like to mention. So on 26th of April, we lost 2 men. Those were volunteers from Canada, Kyle Porter and Cole Zelenko. They arrived to Ukraine, joined the International Legion, and fought together with our soldiers, and they laid their lives as heroes.
Good record. Good words there for sure. I wanted to go back to the propaganda, infiltration, that whole side of war and whatnot there, and check in with both Nick and Commander, because I'm sure there's opinions to be had on this. I'll give you a second to figure it out, because I want to get some shout outs in that have already come in. Robin Miller donated directly $25. Arizona Felina for the Boom Boom Fund. Shout out to my NATO fellas. Love you, Starsky. May victory come soon. Slava Ukraini. Big shout there, Robin. Thank you very much. We had Ink Boy donated €5 through the super chat. This July in Vilnius will be NATO summit. Yeah, okay. I should have read ahead first. Do you have any hopes, wishes for it? Anything specific, Starsky?
I believe that they will discuss the further support of Ukraine. I don't think that they will be talking about accepting Ukraine into NATO, because according to the rules, it cannot be accomplished until there's war inside of the country. So I believe that they will be discussing this. I also doubt that they will discuss my birthday on 9th of July. Unfortunately, I still hope they will.
And then we had Generic Username donated $10 through the super chat. Thank you there, Generic. Celebrating the recapture of Ukrainian soil. Good one, good one. Nothing warms my heart like watching the orcs scatter like roaches. Very good shout out indeed. Thank you there, Generic Username. And we got one more that came in. Boom boom, hashtag boom boom fund from Jonesy, $5 Canadian. So thank you. We know exactly where to put that into the fund as well. So let me check in. Let's check with Nick first here. The the SIM cards, infiltration, that side of warfare. Any thoughts on that? Because there's quite a bit to talk about in that regard. Can there be, or isn't there?
No, I think it's actually probably the single largest problem facing the U.S. is that kind of misinformation, and I think it's a problem because it's both effective, but it's not immediate. It's not something that it's not something that's bearing down on us right away. We're not very good at dealing with things that aren't immediate. I will say, I think Commander McMillan and I have discussed this a lot, and he and I are. I think basically in complete agreement both about how and why and also the history of this kind of thing. So I think he puts it better than I do. So I think he's going to give a better answer than me. But that's the short of my answer.
Oh, let's go right to him then.
Well, I think both Starsky and Nick have hit it on the head. The key is that the Russians have always been very effective at that kind of, shaping the opposition in countries. They've been doing it since the Bolsheviks in the 1920s, influencing political dialogue and activity outside their own country, and they're very effective at it. And it's done now largely through the bot farms, as you're saying. So they get in and they just hack. Well, they don't even hack. I mean, they just enter in as members of whatever the social group is, be it TikTok or Facebook or whatever. And they just inject comments that make it seem, oh, well, there are a lot of people that don't like the fact that we're helping Ukraine. And it starts getting other people, oh, well, maybe I'm not seeing this correctly. Maybe I should stop being so much in favor of Ukraine. And it builds momentum. It's not something you can flip a switch and change life, but it's a very subtle process. And it's extremely hard to defend against it because we live in a society, we being the West in general, live in a society that promotes free speech. So it's really hard to say, well, this one guy on this one discussion board, he's a Russian agent, so we're going to censor him. You have no way of knowing because it's all this giant cloak of anonymity.
And if I can actually interject, one of the things that I think, Commander, that's an issue is they do a lot of that. Of course, it's pro-Russian propaganda, but honestly, they're also just as content to do anti-Russian propaganda, so long as it's something that's being divisive. So, while they did certainly help the Trump campaign in the United States versus Hillary, they also actually, in some cases, did help the Hillary campaign. And the reason was, while Trump was their preferred candidate, what they really wanted was to sow an increased division within the U.S., and they want to do the same thing with NATO. So,
if you get both sides arguing, they're not focused on let's stop the Russians. They're focused on let's suppress these evil people within our own country. And evil people being each side calling the other evil. You get what I'm saying? It's to change the debate to a isolationist mindset of we only need to deal with problems within our own country because they're so severe.
Yeah, that's what's insidious about it. It makes it also harder to fight when it's just like, hey, Russia's the best. That's one thing, but they're smarter than that, and that's what's concerning.
And it's a global problem actually, because as Commander said, it's like when we should realize how to fight the information warfare without suppressing the people's freedom of speech. It's like this is exactly the way the Russians exploit democratic values. People have freedom of speech, so let's make a bot farm with 2,000 unique users and spread the shit around the internet. How do you fight that? That's a big global problem. We noticed that in Twitter specifically, there were like anti-vaccination like communities before the full-scale invasion, and after the beginning of the invasion they changed their topic completely and they started discussing the invasion, but from the Russian perspective.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key things is they tend not to initiate. They tend to shape the discussion, the dialogue that's going on, and they guide it in their direction rather than just starting up a new site where we're going to proclaim Russia's the greatest thing in the world and Ukraine is, a pile of sewage or whatever. Yeah, because that becomes too obvious. So that makes it even harder to detect when it's going because it's subtle. And because they're using these bot farms where they have thousands of different identities that they're using, it looks like there's this huge deluge of opinion supporting their rationale, when in fact it's one guy doing his job.
They're doing a lot of crazy stuff. They post commentaries on behalf of American taxpayers. My tax confiscated. I don't want to pay for Ukraine war. All those
Yeah.
Google translated dialogues are so hilarious, and or like Lviv is Poland. And they expect that Ukrainian users will start like saying shit about Polish people. Polish people will start saying shit about Ukrainians and things like that. So they're trying to break the community from the inside.
Very, very much. I got a couple of shout outs I'll jump in with here, and then I want to pose a little something to everyone. So, Stephen Walsh, huge supporter of the channel and Ukraine, $32.50 into the donation thing there, and that's for the hashtag Boom Boom Fund. So, big thanks there. And then we had NANA Slava Ukraini with $60 and $66.06. I'm trying to do the number of the beast here, and it totally just I screwed the pooch. I'm gonna do that one more time afterwards. We're gonna reset and play that again for NANA. But let me do the other ones here. Mark Colonel LSA donated $50 in through the super chat. More orc barbecue, please. Coming your way for sure. Mito Danny donated €10 through Super Chat. Your Slovak friend here, UA belongs to EU and NATO. Unfortunately, Slovakia has been the forefront of orcs, hybrid war, and disinfo, and towards disinfo to corrode EU unity. Sorry, the screen jumped on me there. So Slovakia has been the forefront of orcs, hybrid war, and disinfo to corrode EU unity. Our country is sadly split 50-50. Hierom Slava. Big words indeed. And, that's a tough place to be for sure. Big shout there, Mito. Thank you. Michael Daniels donated New Zealand $250 through the super chat. Boom, boom, with a cool little grin. And then Level 70 donated $14 through the super chat. Hi, Starsky. Was the huge explosion at Chemlitsky caused by detonated Ukrainian ammo depot or something else? Yeah. The Russians seem to be gloating about it after saying it was drone strike.
I believe that it was a storage of jet fuel. Probably. Could be.
Yeah. There's been reports to the same. And then Crazy Cat, hashtag boom boom, $15 into the fund. I put a cool pic in the Discord. What do you think, Dick? Slava Ukraini. I'm on it. I'll bring it up. Okay. I do have to also serve my son his lunch really fast in the background. So I pose this to the panel members, and I'll have you on speakers so I can keep up. The Soviet book syndrome. Why is Russian propaganda working? I'll just give you a quick thing here. Soviet book syndrome, how the Kremlin is playing on the past to exploit the citizens' fears and sell its justification for the invasion of Ukraine. I think that goes with the conversation. I'll go on speak.
Yeah, you cut out for me, but yeah. Before we answer that, let's just one quick thing I'd like to notice, which is at present there are more hosts of In Time on this show than hosts of the Shills. But anyways,
Yeah. So the thing is,
You look different.
well now, okay. I think Dick has an opinion, but anyways.
thing is, all the Russian citizens consider all the post-Soviet countries part of Russia. All the citizens of post-Soviet countries except Russia don't care much about Russia. They care about their own country. There are like a minority of people in each country that was occupied by Russia during this Soviet regime that have nostalgia for Soviet Union, but they're minority. The reason for that is that those people are old, mostly. That's all. And the biggest reason why they miss Soviet Union so much is because they had more sex, basically. So Russians, because they were born in the Soviet Union and because they had all kinds of benefits and privileges of being Russians, like native Russians, they miss Soviet Union. They miss this feeling of being feared by the world, and of course they could afford traveling like to Crimea, to Lviv, to Bulgaria, to other countries, and they miss that. They miss this feeling of being like citizens of the empire. So that's the biggest difference. Majority of Ukrainians don't miss Soviet Union. That killed millions of Ukrainians basically in gulags during Holodomor. I believe that people in other post-Soviet countries, they feel the same, because when you're occupied and you're forcefully made, learn a foreign language, foreign culture, when you're forced to become something that you cannot be naturally, it's wrong. For Russians, it's a different picture, completely different picture, because Russians were the ones who invaded, the ones who occupied. That's why they consider Soviet Union as something really good. Of course, being an empire brought a lot of benefits, a lot of good things to Russians. Russians basically enjoyed being an empire. We didn't. Nobody did, except for Russians.
I find it interesting that, and it's a mixed bag, but I find it interesting that the U.S. does almost the opposite, and so it's hard for Americans to understand. The number of times I've heard somebody say, "Well, why are we helping, Puerto Rico? We should save our money for Americans." And it's like, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. It is America. They get American passports. And we're constantly almost really sort of trying to shrink and say, no, we don't want other countries, and that's not necessarily a good attitude, but it's almost the exact opposite attitude. So it's hard for us to understand. For Russia, all the former Soviet satellite states, for many Russians, while that's just a title, former Soviet satellite states, they're still really a part of Russia and a part of this big thing that was the former Soviet Union. And they get very offended and can't seem to genuinely understand when people don't want to be a part of it. But I think the funny thing is most of them don't like their system either. But I think misery loves company, and they don't want anyone leaving, because then it highlights the fact that they're still stuck in it and that they don't leave. So to them, it's all Russia. At least that's my view.
I think one of the things that people kind of forget is Russia's, particularly since the Bolsheviks came to power, which is transitioning to the current regime, they've had this bizarre relationship with the what I will call satellite countries, like Ukraine, like Belarus. A lot of people don't realize the USSR actually had 3 seats in the UN General Assembly. There was Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. And it was because, to them, in their mindset, those were both part of Russia, but also not part of Russia independent. And they were subject peoples, I think is the only way to put it. And they wanted to maintain that, is that we will expand and bring all these other countries into our wonderful fold. They won't become Russian, but they'll be part of us. It's this weird dichotomy of inclusion while it's also exclusion at the same time.
Well, somebody said in the chat too that basically everybody in Russia has Stockholm syndrome. I think that's the best explanation. That's actually, I think that's correct. That's exactly
freaking
right.
Brilliant.
It is. No, bingo. Just that's exactly what we've been saying. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Wow. So the country is just a case study. Well, they've proven themselves to be anyway. So, you know.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of shout outs I can catch up on, at least one here. I'm a little confused at the moment still. Little Dickens had thrown in for the hashtag Boom Boom Fund, 2588 Canadian. Must be a conversion there, those strange numbers. It keeps happening around here. And then we have hashtag Boom Boom Fund from Takanji, I think that's right. And it's 35 Canadian. I'm rounding them up. I can't be doing all this cents and stuff all the time. Oh, I do want to try to get NANA's right from earlier. So it's NANA had donated $66.60. There. That's what was supposed to have come out of my fucking mouth. So exactly, man.
By the way, I loved your joke the other day, Starsky, about they like heavy metal, but now they're shifting to death.
Oh, what was the other one? No, Starsky's been doing a whole bunch of and he's been
You have
putting
a
them
wicked sense of humor
on Twitter too. What was the the highest number of immigrants into Ukraine is Russians, but they're all living 6 feet under. Yeah. Or they're all getting space 6 feet. Yeah, they're all getting land 6 feet under. Oh wow! Listen. If you don't have Twitter, it's worth getting Twitter just to go see what he's been retweeting. It's good. It's hilarious.
I have a new one. It's like why Russian invaders are so bad at dodgeball. It's because nobody misses them.
Oh Lord! Oh.
Oh, that works
like
on so many levels.
Oh, that's an awesome one.
That
We had
humor didn't translate.
we had Yvonne Wade donated 10 Swedish krona altogether there, I think it is. Or is that Swiss? I always get those mixed up. Amy is so much better at this than me. But there's a really cool, like, little karate kitty doing all the punches and stuff. Oh, no, I'm going to start acting them out. Okay, I'm not doing that. We did that before. It never ended. Everybody screwed with me all night, giving me weird super stickers. I even once jumped up to spin around and my headphones came flying off. And okay. And then we had generic username donated $10 through Super Chat. on the subject of on the subject of morbid jokes, glad to see those stray dogs getting well fed. Yeah, that hits the morbid button for sure, generic. Jesus Christ. That's our kind of joke though, you know.
Funny
Just
and just
yeah. You know, we've always said a good orc is a dead orc because that blood fertilizes sunflowers like nothing else, baby. Oh yeah. But we were talking music pre-show there, Starsky. Why don't you share the keyboard purchase with everybody? Let them know, you know?
Yeah, so I decided to buy a keyboard because, like, when you're writing a music in your digital audio workstation, it's like you have to place each note using your mouse, and it takes a lot of time. And I decided to buy a keyboard, like it's a very, very simple MIDI keyboard without much controllers. But now it kicks ass because I can literally play everything and then just edit different
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
You'll be able to get to you know, all through the writing process. It'll be so much easier for you, right? Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting one myself. Having a controller does speed it up. Like I program drums by hand, like you say, and you're literally putting a dot here for the snare, 2 dots for the kick drum, 4 for the hi-hat. Like you're drawing out a drum track. It takes forever.
Yeah, and you have to edit velocity and things like that, and add some quantization, and it takes a lot of time. I mean, like 90% of time you're just placing notes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's much easier with keys now.
You know, it's like programming with a mouse is just a one-way ticket to carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
And it's like when you place a note, but you need to listen what kind of note is that. You have to click your mouse on the virtual keyboard, and again, it takes time. And then you have to find the proper place to place it, and
Yeah.
it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Whereas with the keyboard, you got the touch sensitivity of the keys, so you can go light and soft for all your dynamics. Oh yeah, it's great. Great stuff. You're gonna love it. Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait. We'll have to do like an actual music stream coming up, Starsky, where you know we could literally live on air just start putting together a song, passing the tracks back and forth and stuff. It'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. By the way, I like it.
You know, that'd be cool. Nadev Ben Shlomo just chipped $55 into the hashtag Boom Boom Fun. Nadev is a huge supporter of the channel around here. Your efforts are very well remembered. Absolutely. Thank you, Nadev. Thank you very much. I do hope I'm saying your name right. I'm constantly confused on that one. I have such a Canadian mouth. I get everything wrong except for like, you know, things in my backyard. And then we have a cool super chat here for B.R. Bowden. Norwegian krona, $100 thrown into the pot. I think I got that amount properly. Another YouTuber had this comment regarding those last Russian aviation losses. If God wanted Russians to fly, he would have put them in a tank turret.
Oh, oh,
I love it. Oh yeah, hold on. Here, I got a gag for this. So here, we're gonna hit the chat dance for that one. Oh yeah, that was awesome. Oh yeah, dancing in the chat tonight. So oh yeah, we do have to watch the time today. Starsky can't go too long. We only got about I don't know, 20 minutes here or so as it is now. Big important meeting with top brass in the morning. So you know, the captain has work to do.
And it's usually in the like sometimes journalists, because we have this TV marathon, so called, in Ukraine, when different channels have like 24-hour broadcast about the events in Ukraine regarding war and everything, and then those channels switch between each other. and they always call different like experts and representatives of different units and stuff. And currently, one of the most important updates in Ukraine is regarding the assault guard, which my brigade is part of. And sometimes they call me and they're like, "Would you like to be live with us, like at 4:45 in the morning?" I'm like, "Why the fuck not? Let's make it 3 a.m."
Yeah,
I
yeah.
under- I understand that military guys are so crazy, they don't sleep like ever. But I know that in hell there is a specific place where National Guardsmen wake up journalists and make them do push-ups like all night. Uh, no, I love press with all my heart, but sometimes they're very cruel.
Yes, that is very cruel. A slightly more toned down super chat here. It's the killer rabbit of Carl Benog, and I always do the name with the big Monty Python delivery, but that wouldn't be appropriate this time. Sadness warning. In memory of my best friend who lost his battle yesterday morning. He believed in Ukraine. R.I.P. Joe. $25 super chat. And yes, indeed, from all of us, R.I.P. Joe. Sorry to hear, Killer Rabbit. Sorry to hear. That's one of those, that's one of those moments in life that people remember, and they have that big thing that stays with you. I've had a few of those as well.
I have a question for
Yeah.
both Lance and Starsky, who have far more experience than I in this issue. And Starsky, we've spoken with Starsky about this before, but it's sort of, when somebody you care about dies, most of the time it's so hard to deal with, and it changes your life. But if you're in a war zone, that happens practically every week, or maybe several times a week. And how do you get it so that life still has meaning, so that friendship still has meaning when it's so tenuous in a situation like Ukraine?
Good question.
It's you stop being emotional. You don't let yourself being emotional at all. I think I talked about it. You stop. You just switch it off. The like when something like this happen, you just don't let it deep inside yourself. But the downside of that is eventually you stop acting like a human being, because whenever something happens that requires some emotional reaction from yourself, you don't really know how to react to this. And I have this issue actually, which is like it's a crazy shit. uh, Another thing is you try to cheer yourself up somehow, do things that you like. uh, I like sushi. I had when my friend died, usually we gather for mourning our fallen comrades, uh, have some alcohol and stuff. But because we don't drink, and I don't drink personally, I went to this restaurant in Kiev, and I had sushi. And this is the way I mourned my friend, which sounds crazy, but this is how we do it. The other day, I felt depressed for some reason, and my friends, my civilian friends, invited me to the cinema, and that picture that you see in my recent publications, those death related stuff that I post on Twitter, that troll face. So actually, it was we were having sushi, and we decided to make like a picture of us all together. And I don't know what happened. I tried to smile, but this is the origin of this photo. So they invited me to the cinema. There's uh, this movie
Guardians of the
Guard
Galaxy.
yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. And I felt depressed for some reason. I don't remember. And like, I felt really bad. And I decided, why not? Like, I haven't been to cinema
Oh,
for like 2 years, maybe. And Guardians of the Galaxy is like a nice movie for kids, nice action movie. And
ugh.
I will just, relax and have a good time and enjoy. After this movie, I felt not like I felt like they destroyed my soul.
That was a
Because
tough movie. I just saw that movie last night with my kids, and I was just like, this didn't
yeah,
seem like a kid. That was a depressing fucking movie.
That's what
That was
everybody's
hard.
saying. This one is so much darker than the other two. I haven't watched it yet, but that's what everybody's saying. It's surprising that because the Guardians are the fun Avengers, like they're
Oh
they're the
yeah,
clowns, right?
that was a brutal movie. Anyways, I'm sorry, Starsky, I interrupted, but yeah, that was a yeah.
yeah. There will be spoilers here, but guys, like, there is this fluffy, cute pet, this rocket, right?
Yeah.
Who's dying, and while dying, he remembers like his friends. He remembers being taken from his family, and then all those experiments, where they implanted different shit into him, and he was screaming, and he was just a baby back then. And then he had those friends, the walrus with wheels, those animals with like artificial limbs and stuff. But they were good, like they were good animals, and they became good friends. And basically, those four animals, they had like, they were the world for each other. They loved each other, and they were dreaming about like traveling across the universe and stuff. And then they fucking die, and I was sitting there wearing those glasses with like two fucking
Oh
rivers
yeah,
flowing down. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I came here to relax.
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, and I knew that it was going to be hard, and it was funny because we were going to sort of seeing it last week, and we're like, we've heard that it's a tough. It's a tough movie. The other one, one of the ones that got me a bit. I don't know. It's not worse than that, but it was really bad. There's a really nice, awesome, fluffy pet in there, and it's Adam Warlock's pet. And this isn't going to be a spoiler. Most people, know this. Adam Warlock starts as sort of a bad guy, but in the comics, he ends up being a good guy at some point through experiences gained. And one of them is that he's got this pet that the Guardians are taking care of, despite the fact that Adam Warlock's been a bad guy. And at one point, all their lives are in serious jeopardy, and the pet basically pees itself. But it's not done in a comedic way. It's done in a very dramatic, like, oh my God, they're all really about to die. And considering how many cute creatures have been tortured, murdered, there's even essentially genocide. It's all, and then when it pees
Jesus.
itself, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, he's going to see that and realize that the Guardians have been risking their lives even to save this pet of his. And nope, it's just there to show you just how bad things are. And it was it was a tough fucking movie. Yeah.
I went to sleep hugging Fudge.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah, no, that was, yeah. I don't know. It was good. And actually, I thought my youngest, I thought, was going to be permanently traumatized by it. And it actually had a profound impact on her. But she also said it was one of the best movies she ever saw. So, I mean,
Wow.
it was good. But yeah, it's not a happy, fun play movie, and it's challenging.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm not bringing my kid to see that fucking movie.
I wouldn't have. Okay,
Definitely.
before all the judgment, I didn't know, and I thought exactly what Starsky said, which is like, okay, it's a kids' film. They love the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a kids'
Yeah.
film. I don't know if like, okay, the director was like Freddy Krueger or just I don't, but it was it was a good film. I'm not saying it wasn't good, but it's that it's not an easy, and you have to be ready for. It's traumatic. It's yeah. Anyways, it is what it is. My condolences, Starsky. Wow.
And it
Yeah,
was it happened days after I released my ants, because I realized that I will not be able to care after them well, and seeing
Oh.
that little cute fluffy animal like dying there, like he remembers his past in this movie while freaking dying. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and just to give you an idea too, there's another scene. Oh my God, what's her? I can't believe I've forgotten her name. The android, the woman who was the daughter of Thanos and kept it
Thanos.
as a means of torture was getting Nebula. So
Yeah.
Nebula was tortured throughout the entire, history of the MCU all the way up until the last movie. She gets tortured and tortured regularly, and you see some of it. And in this movie, she sits there and says what's happening to Rocket is worse than anything that ever happened to her. And I mean, that's not contested by anybody. That's how
Wow.
serious this is. It's not a joke. It's like, wow. Yeah, they kicked it up a notch.
That's intense. I got a couple of super chat shout outs I'm going to do here, guys. Level 70 was in for $14 there in the super chat. Starsky, do you have any intel on Lukashenko? Apparently, he is very ill and in the hospital. Looks like Putin may be trying to replace him.
So he has some kind of sickness. We know that obviously he had a his thigh joint was kind of messed up. But other than that, it looks like I don't know. He's been to Moscow. Anything could happen to him in Moscow, from not like from poisoning to, I don't know, you name it.
Well,
Don't eat the
tripping out
a lot of
windows.
open windows in Moscow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't eat the sushi in Moscow.
Generic username donated $10 through the super chat. Glad to be spending time with all of you here for a good purpose. This is a good community to be a part of, and hopefully we can soon enjoy the time during peace. Good words, good words. And then we had a Ko-Fi donation that came through. And not only would it be very hard for me to pronounce this name, but I'm not sure I should be saying it because I'm not sure that it's the username of the person on YouTube. It was a $5 Ko-Fi donation, which is very cool. Thank you, thank you. And I'll tag me if you knew that you did it. There, $5 on Ko-fi or Ko-fi or coffee. How am I supposed to say that fucking thing? Can we stop inventing words and just make it easy? But yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it's the right name. So, Tovarasol Moscracian. Yeah, okay. Wow. Yeah, I caught it. Perfect. That's how I saw it, was the pop-up. Okay, yeah, and I think I'm caught up then. God, I bet I butchered that fucking name. um, we're closing in on time, but we do have to check in with Starsky for one last topic. Food. Right? My son tonight, what we're going to do is we're having Mexican night. So we're going to watch a movie from his favorite actor from Mexico, Eugenio Derbez, and we're going to watch one of his movies and then have burritos and have it all on the coffee table and just sit there and get right into it. That's my contribution to the food part of today's show. And coming up soon, we'll actually have little demonstrations, or we'll get some pictures in of the stuff we cook and whatnot. And, we'll layer it on a bit thicker here for the food section. But Starsky, what's tickling your taste buds these days?
It's Domino's pizza. But in Ukraine, I'm sure that in your country you have Domino's pizza that offers like pizza with 4 cheeses. We have like
Yeah.
5 cheeses, and it's so good. It's
Thank
awesome.
God.
The other day we had the other day my dad. I'm talking like I'm 5 years old. The other day my dad invited me for holodets. Holodets is kind of jelly meat. It's a Ukrainian cuisine. And he ordered like potato with garlic from Domino's Pizza, and I also ordered this pizza with 5 cheeses. It's so good. If you're in Ukraine, you gotta try it.
Thank God that's what you said. I got to tell you, given where we were on the discussion with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the whole 9 yards, I was like half expecting it was, well, my new favorite dish is roasted orc, and I was like, oh well, that interview just took a dark turn. So you said pizza, I was like, oh thank God.
Yeah. Regarding crazy names, so there is like crazy in a good meaning. There is a very nice movie. You gotta find it. I think it's called The Adventures of the Dolan the Cannoneer. It's an old Polish movie about like the World War II, a comedy actually, and there is this scene when this Dolan is brought to some Nazi German who tries to like interrogate him, and he asks his name. He's like, Name und Vorname, or something like that. And he's like, Grzegorz Brzęczyszkiewicz. Was? And he orders his subordinate to type his name. He's like, Grzegorz Brzęczyszkiewicz. Like this scene makes me laugh like every single time.
I'm gonna have to look this up. Can you put that in the back chat in the video ninja there for me so I can look it up, Starsky?
Yeah.
Can you type that in? Perfect. Thanks, man. I don't want to mix that up. White Lightning 777, cool username. Donated $5 through the super chat. How does Prigozhin get away with talking trash about the regular military? Hopefully the Storm Shadow can get him.
He can get away because Prigozhin is responsible for all the African campaign that Russia has in Africa. We're talking about African resources, diamonds, and all that. So, of course, Putin will not eliminate him for talking trash. And also, he is very, very public. Putin is not gonna trust him as much as his regular officers and generals because Prigozhin is not a military person at all. You cannot imagine like regular military making like TikTok videos. We're not talking about Kadyrov. We're talking about like real military. Okay. Making videos and nagging about shit doesn't happen in the real world. Military don't do that. Prigozhin can do that because he's a freaking thug, ex-convict. So basically, he can do that. That's why Putin doesn't have as much control over Prigozhin as he has over other generals. Like real military in the Russia, but I don't really see Prigozhin walking out a window in the nearest future.
Well,
Go ahead.
I know we're a little tight on time, but I did want to ask that. So I've heard two different ends of the spectrum here, and I was hoping to get both of your perspectives on it. The two versions I've heard is one, no, this is all just make believe. Prigozhin's just saying this to, or it's being blown out of proportion by the West, and Prigozhin is actually just trolling, but actually he and Putin are as thick as thieves, and everything's going fine. And then the other thing I've heard, which is closer to my point of position on this, is without Wagner, the Russians are going to collapse utterly, and they're the only ones holding them together because at least somebody can fight there, and it's, if nothing more, at least inspiring the troops to not utterly collapse and flee entirely, and that Wagner is actually going to be done there because at some point something has to be done with Prigozhin, and so this is the beginning of the end of basically the entire invasion. Do either of you gentlemen have a view as to where on that spectrum of those two positions the reality lies?
Commander?
Oh, okay. I'll go first. I think the truth lies somewhere in between those two. I think that Putin and Prigozhin have a curious relationship. Starsky's dead on target when he says the diamonds and the other stuff that Wagner does overseas that bring income into Russia. That's a major part of what's going on. I also think that Prigozhin, because he's so thoroughly disliked by so many other elements inside the Russian system, be it the military, the other oligarchs and hierarchy and such, Putin kind of senses that he can rely on him as a foil should a coup attempt be made. So he keeps him close as kind of a Praetorian Guard element, if you will. I think Prigozhin gets away with talking trash about the army because it suits Putin's purposes to try to encourage them to be more aggressive in the conduct of the war. Because he keeps saying, oh, you're cowards, you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're not succeeding. And the sense, because that gets echoed in the Russian media, the official word from Russia and Putin, when that gets echoed, it's trying to put pressure on the army to be more aggressive, to succeed in taking things, to not worry about the cost in men and materiel to achieve those objectives. And I think the regular army is a lot more controlled in how they're willing to use their forces. They understand that they are an important asset that can be broken if you overuse it, whereas they being Putin and the upper hierarchy don't really care about what the cost is. All they want is the success.
I agree on that. Plus, Prigozhin is a cunning little guy. He knows how to stay alive, basically, because there's a lot of way to make some very sensitive information public if you die. So, blackmail is usual business in Russia.
Yeah, and with all his criminal ties, I'm sure he's got compromise on all sorts of people. So nobody wants to push him out the window because he's probably got safety mechanisms in place that the moment he goes flatline, all this bad stuff hits the airwaves about all of these people. So it's kind of like what J. Edgar Hoover had.
Couple of shout outs I'll do here quick. Secular Sakai donated through $2 through the super chat, and then Secular Sakai again donated $5 to the super chat with a message this time. Have you guys discussed the Turkish elections continue or count the election counting going on as we speak and its effect on Turkish foreign policy towards Ukraine and Russia? And we hadn't.
Having lived in
I'm
Turkey for 3 years, I'll be happy to comment.
Oh, okay. Well, here, let's get to that. Yvonne Way, member message there. Soon, total victory for Ukraine. UA 100%. Good message. Good message. Thank you. So yeah, let's turn back to that. Turkish elections and what kind of fallouts we could get. Oh, Secular Sakai's first message for $2 was actually a super sticker of a little robot guy putting his thumb up, and it says GG. And is that like GG Allen, that crazy punk guy or something? I don't know what GG is.
It's a
Or
gamer thing. It means good game. So you at the end
oh,
of it, you go,
okay.
good game, dudes.
Okay. Cool. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to fuck that up. I think we're caught up. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead on the
And
Turkish thing.
but before you do that, I also would like to genuinely thank everybody. First of all, I think it's great. Like and subscribe is always a great way to help out the channel. And another great way is that I think is so many super chats, and everybody here that I can tell has been really good about the fact that Dick really doesn't like counting to 99 for the cents column, so they've started rounding to the zeros. So I just sort of wanted to thank everybody for being sensitive to Dick's aversion to counting cents, because 99 is so difficult. So just it's great job, everybody, and just
I'm
well done,
I'm
thank you.
Canadian. Every time 99 comes up, I think of Wayne Gretzky and I go off on a reminisce of the good old days. But yeah, Commander.
So Erdogan, when he first came to power, was seen by many as a reformer. He was trying to change things. Turkish politics had largely been dominated by one party up until then. So he was a breath of fresh air, and everybody thought he was a liberal. Over time, it's evolved, and in particular, about 10 years ago, it kind of went off the rails, and he plunged cheerfully into the deep end of the authoritarian, wannabe fascist end of the pool. So the elections right now could result in him losing power and his party being relegated to the dung heap. The issues aren't really what's driving a lot of what's going on in the election per se. If you'll remember, there were some really horrific earthquakes last year in Turkey. And a lot of people got killed when buildings collapsed. One of the things Erdogan did was he had relaxed building codes because he was getting a lot of money from his developer friends. So a lot of people are looking at this and saying thousands, 10,000 Turks died because this guy wanted to make a little extra cash on the side. So everybody's predicting that it's going to be kind of a runaway election for the other guy. The other guy, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. He's fairly old, and nobody sees him as a big reformer or anything, but he's going to kind of be that interim person that tries to return things to a sense of normalcy. Forgive me for the analogy. I know it'll upset some people, but he's kind of the Biden, if you will, of Turkish politics right now. They think he and his party are going to walk away with the election. But since you're dealing with Erdogan and all the corruption of his people and his party, there is a good chance that the ballot counting will miraculously turn out to be 89% or something of the population love Erdogan, even though everybody knows that it's completely the opposite. So we'll be very interested to see how this comes out. This isn't getting a lot of play in American, I don't know about European because they're much closer to Turkey. But in America, this whole issue of the Turkish elections is getting very, very little airtime. So, but it's going to have a profound effect because, among other things, Turkey controls the straits into the Black Sea, where a lot of stuff that comes and goes into Ukraine, the grain shipments that were going, come out. So if the Turks close that down, if they stop selling the drones they have to the Ukrainians and such, it's going to have an impact on the conduct of the war.
Commander, speaking of Turkey, do you like raki?
No. I don't drink, so yeah, I've tasted it, a tiny bit. I was in high school. Everybody wanted to, let's get drunk, kind of thing. But nah, it's not my flavor. It's the same with ouzo in Greece, where I lived as well.
Oh, that stuff isn't fit to drink. Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it falls into the category of acquired taste.
Unless you mix it with like Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah.
I hate licorice anyway, so ouzo was
Yeah. No, I can't do it. Can't do it. We had a Michael Mitchell's. I think I've called you Michelle a few times, when I was wearing my sunglasses because I had the whole surgery and stuff. I'm just
I may have
figuring
too,
that
yeah.
out. Yeah. Donated $2 through New Zealand through the super chat, and it didn't have a message, so you can always tag me in the chat if you want to shout something out or call somebody an asshole or something. I don't mind, whatever you want. That's fine with me. We're pushing on time here. I don't want to keep Starsky too long because he's got, big morning with the top brass tomorrow. I think he's he's being awarded the golden drone of absolute chaos and destruction or something. But, we don't want to blow the surprise for y'all. But
God forbid, bro, because the last time I was awarded, the cops crashed into my freaking car.
oh, no.
Well, and I don't think they
And
wouldn't
I was
award you.
only
Oh,
driving I was only driving this car for like a month.
well, and they wouldn't award you a drone for fear you'd shoot it.
At some point, you're going to have to tell us that story.
Yes. Well, speaking of which, we don't get to do this tonight, but over on our merch store, all proceeds go to his brigade. So let me just show you.
Oh my God.
That's right. Baby Starsky t-shirts on the store. Get them while you can. Proceeds go to his brigade. So, it's damn well worth it.
I gotta say, seeing that, I really want to go back to watching Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, now there's like balloons.
Yeah.
Looks nice. Looks fancy. Yeah, so long story short, I was taking my colleagues to the headquarters of the National Guard in Kiev, and then those colleagues from the patrol police, they decided to make a U-turn in front of my face. Yeah, so they completely destroyed my car.
Oh,
Thanks, dudes.
That's so that everything you wanted out of that day, right? Secular Sakai donated 28 into the fund. A small bump for the Boom Boom Fund. Not so small indeed. Thank you, Secular Sakai. Gonna send some more funds for both Starsky and Alex again later this month as well. Much appreciated. Very much. Big supporter, Secular Sakai. Big supporter. Thank you very much. I just want to make sure we're all caught up. Yeah. And we're on time now. So let's turn to Commander McMillan for, goodbyes, thoughts, and wrap-ups, whatever you got in your mind.
Not much to say. I would like to point out one thing. The counterattacks that are going around Bakhmut My guess is that's not the actual offensive that everybody's been waiting for, but it could easily develop into it, given the reports we're getting that, entire Russian units, companies, battalions, brigades are kind of fleeing when they're hit. So it could end up that's the case, but I think they're just trying to relieve the pressure on Bakhmut right now because it really is in a bad situation.
And over to Nick. What do you think there, buddy?
Oh, I just thank you guys so much for having me on. It was a blast as always, and good to see Starsky and Lance. Thank you so much. I had a great time. Yeah, but for one
cool.
thing, which is, just thank you so much for scheduling this on Mother's Day. That's yeah,
I know. Well, this is where I'm going to start. First off, a huge happy Mother's Day to everybody out there who deserves a happy Mother's Day wished upon them, that is. All moms do so much for everybody in life. Well, not the drunken crackhead ones, but the rest of y'all, we love you. We love you. So big happy Mother's Day to everybody. Remember, do all you can to make sure your government's supporting Ukraine during all this. Local, federal, state, municipal, there's always some asshole you can call and bug or write an email to. So do it, because the more we pressure them, the more they do it. Big shout out to CF Beauty for running the Shills account there in live chat. That's who you're always talking about. She's the best. Allie helping with the research and whatnot there as well. And I'll turn it now over to Operator Starsky to take us out.
Big thanks to you all for joining us today, and big shout out for all the mothers and all the people who have mothers, which is basically 100% of our viewers. So one more thing, very, very important, as always, thank you so much for supporting Ukraine. It's a right cause.
Damn right, fellow babies. And on that note, we'll see you very soon for some more straight from Ukraine with the one and only Captain Starsky. We're out of here. Take care, fellow babies. Slava Ukraini!
It's over. Go home. Go.